All right, thanks, bud. I'll make the outtakes on the watch channel. Thank you. What's it have to do with watches? Welcome to Never Enough Time. We are trying to find an intro for this episode. We're having fun doing this channel, and that's really what Watches is about. It's about fun.
So if you ain't got nothing better to do, let's waste some time.
This is the AVI-8 Lancaster bomber. AVI-8, I don't think I would call it a micro brand. They're part of a pretty large group that includes Spinnaker and a few others. AVI-8, I believe, is based out of Great Britain, and as the name would imply, they focus on aviation-inspired watches, which this one is. Now, this was I think a special edition or anniversary edition. It's funny because when I got this watch, they still had it on their website. They don't anymore. The page just says like dead end, page not found. So I think they probably have dropped this from their lineup, unless the website was just glitching as of the time I was making this video. But this watch is all over the place for, like I said, $150. So you get this box, and it's, you know, it looks all right. It comes with the watch. They do include, hang tag like everybody. They do include a blue NATO strap, and I actually never put that on there to see how that would look. I'll roll in some photos with the NATO strap. They included a wallet, which I don't get, or why a watch company would do this. So let's get on to the watch. Just wanted to let you see what this special anniversary edition came in, but at hand is AVI-8. Now, this watch is inspired by the Lancaster bomber cockpit. So if we look at the case, it is 44 by 52. So it is a large watch. It wears quite large, and visually it wears large because of the way the lugs and the strap, we'll talk about that in a second. 20 millimeter lug width. It is 12 millimeters thick, so pleasant that it's thin. You have a screw down case back, engraving, I guess, or etching of the back of the Lancaster bomber. It's dropping bombs in a very aggressive way. You have brush sides, and the bezel is polished. So you have some contrast in the finishing there. The crown at 3 o'clock has a blue and red, like a bullseye there on the crown, which is also kind of a cool touch. Now, the specs of this watch, you have a quartz movement. It's a Japanese quartz, and that's all the website said, it was a Japanese quartz. And 50 meters of water resistance, like I mentioned, the screw-down crown, but you also have that very vintage pilot watch aesthetic with that large onion crown. This did retail for $250 off their website, but you can find it all over the internet for $150 and under, which I think is probably a more appropriate price. Now, for me, on this watch, it's all about the dial, because they did some nice finishing touches with the brush sides and the polished bezel, and a little bit of like a rivet etching there to give you that aircraft feel. So they did put some nice touches in on the finishing. But the dial is a blue dial, and it's unusual. You have a large 0, 2, 4, 8, and 10. Which is an odd spacing, but again, basing it off of the cockpit of the Lancaster bomber. So you have cathedral hands, you have the date right above the 6, you have the branding under the 0, the AVI-8 Lancaster bomber, simple branding, which I'm always a fan of, and the cathedral hands fit for the style of watch that they're making. So I think everything is on point here in terms of the vibe that they are trying to create. Now, the loom on this watch looms up decent. It just doesn't last very long. Now, the ergonomics of this in terms of wearing it, I have a larger wrist, like I've mentioned. I'm about 8 8 1/8, just a shade over 8 inches, and it wears decent. Like I said, the thinness is good. The lug to lug for a larger wrist. I always like the 48 to 52 lug to lug. So for me, that works good for excuse me, for my wrist. On smaller wrists here, I have a few pictures of my wife wearing it. She has a 6 1/4 inch wrist, and I don't think that is a great size for this watch. A lot of pilots' watches look bigger to me and don't look right on smaller wrists if they're bigger in this 44 and 52. I mean, that's big to begin with, but when they have the lug holes, or the part where the strap goes in, if there's spacing between there and the case where you can see your wrist, and then the lugs come out, to me it feels like it stretches it out even further on the wrist, and makes it visually look even bigger yet. With the big onion crown on this side, you're pushing, almost 50 millimeters with the crown. So it's just a big watch for that size. Now, I'm not someone who has rules about what size wrist wears what watch. You do whatever you see fit, but I think you can see from the pictures, it really dominates the wrist on my wife at about 6 1/4. So a little bit big. Otherwise comfortable. The lugs turn slightly down to help snug into your wrist. It's thin. Quartz is light. The leather strap is okay, and I'm not expecting, high-end leather goods on a $200 quartz watch, but I would say it's adequate for this price range. I don't think it exceeds its price range, but certainly adequate for it. Straps, like I said, it came with the NATO and the leather strap. And then overall, the build quality on this watch is decent for the price and for what it is. I think it's decent value if you buy it right now at that $150 range. And certainly under, it gets even better. But I like it in that 100 to 150, because then you're in with a lot of other quartz from Timex, and even some of the Casios in that price range. And this adds some visual interest that's different than, say, a digital face, and also with some aviation inspiration and history. So no issues there. In terms of the dial itself, is there anything that I don't like? And I'm not going to bash at 250, I would have complaints about, because I don't think there's value there at 250. At 150 though, you knock $100 off between friends. 125, 115, somewhere in there, you have a good quartz watch that is different, looks interesting, and can certainly, if you're an aviation aficionado, this might fit into your collection too. So at the end of the day, I think there's two groups of people that this watch is for. The first is someone looking for their first watch, or are looking to give an interesting watch to somebody as a gift. And then second, if you're an aviation enthusiast and you love to get every type of aviation-inspired watch, or you just want to dial with a 0 at the 12 instead of a 12, right? This hits all of those. So we will cut it off there. AVI-8. Final verdict on this to me is, if you're under $150, you get value out of it and of some interest. I think over that, you do what you want to do. I think it just diminishes in terms of value per dollar at that point. Thanks for hanging out. God bless. Until the next one.